Hello and welcome back. This is lesson 1 of the Road Back piano course, and this is designed for those who have recently come back to the piano or who already know how to read music. Alongside this piano course, I'll be offering a free music theory program, so if that interests you, you can use this piano course and that theory course together. As far as the schedule goes, the videos will be on a 3-week rotation. Today we're doing lesson 1, next week will be a theory lesson, and then the following week after that will be a miscellaneous video on anything piano or music. Then we'll come back to lesson 2, music theory and a miscellaneous video. So this should give you plenty of time to work on your assignments from these lessons, as well as complete whatever else you're working on by yourself. I know you're anxious to begin, but please listen to this next part because it explains how the lessons will work. In each lesson, we'll focus on one piece. This might be a classical piece or an arrangement of a popular tune. You have the option of printing out the piece and learning it on your own first, or you can watch the lesson first and then go and practice. If you learn it on your own first, don't let too much time pass before watching this lesson. Maybe give yourself 3 practice days max before watching this. Along with the piece, there will be some exercises or technique drills that relate to that piece. So everything you learn from the lesson can be applied to the current piece. And I'll always end with an assignment and practice suggestions so you leave with a clear idea of what your practice goal should be for the next 3 weeks. Then, after you watch the video, you have 2 weeks from publication to comment with your questions, requests, and these will guide the direction of this piano course. The clearer and more detailed you are with your comment or question, the better I can help. Now, you obviously can comment at any time on this video, even if it's a year from now, and I do love to hear from you, but I can't guarantee that it'll direct the path of the course. I always do a short follow-up in the next lesson of the previous piece, so we can work on any issues you had or other details that I want to cover. Now, like I've said before, this is an experiment that I want to try, and I think it can work, but there are no guarantees. The way I see this working well is if you're open about what is challenging for you, what confuses you, what works well for you, and what you want help with in the future. So what is the end goal of this course? To always be learning and improving, and that's it. I suggest to be at the piano while you watch this and also have a notebook with a pencil to write notes in your score and your notebook. As I talk about notes, rhythms, or concepts, I want you to be at the piano trying them out. So you'll probably pause the video quite a few times. It was difficult to decide where to begin with this course since I know we're all at different places. Thank you for your feedback too if you commented on my community post. But I had to choose somewhere, so here we are learning Vivace in C. The piece is free to download below, and I highly recommend that you print it out or have the PDF on a tablet that you can make markings on. The C refers to the key signature, and we're going to talk about key signatures in the theory course, so if you're not sure what those are, make sure to watch that video next week. I picked this as our first piece because it has a lot of repetition and patterns. First off, notice the left hand. It only plays 2 different intervals throughout the whole piece, the 3rd on middle C and the 5th on bass G. And the right hand line 1 is almost exactly the same as line 2. And line 2 is the exact same as line 4. Line 3 repeats the same pattern 3 times and then ends just like line 1. So all in all, this piece only has 6 measures of material. I'll probably say this several times throughout this piano course, but rhythm is just as important as what notes you play. I see a lot of students focus so much on the note reading that they completely neglect the rhythm. Without the intended rhythm, a piece can be almost unrecognizable. So let's be sure we begin with good rhythm. This is in 4/4 time, otherwise known as common time. If you're curious where this C comes from, I'll link an article down below, but just note that they're basically the same thing, 4 beats to a measure with the quarter note getting 1 beat. The left hand is very easy to count, so let's just skip to the right hand rhythm. We have 4 different rhythmic patterns that we'll analyze. First is quarter, eighth, eighth, quarter, quarter. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that rhythm happens in measure 1, 3, 5, 7, 13, and 15. The second rhythm pattern is quarter, quarter, 4/8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That rhythm pattern happens in measures 2, 6, and 14. Then rhythmic pattern number 3 is quarter, quarter, half. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And finally, 4 quarters. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 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 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now the right hand fingering is very easy because it stays in a 5-finger position, C position, the entire time. While the left hand only has 2 different intervals, it does have to shift slightly every time you play. So you have 2 good options. The easiest option is to use fingers 1 and 2 on the 3rd and 1 and 5 on the 5th. In that case, the only finger that needs to move is your thumb, and you'll lift in between each measure. The lifting of the left hand should not make the right hand lift. They're doing separate things, and this is hand independence. If your hands are wanting to do the same thing, choreograph it so that the left hand lifts right on beat 4. If you choose option 1, be sure to change the fingering that's written in your score. The second fingering option is written in the score already and is a little more difficult because you'll be slurring the 3rd to the 5th. I prefer this option because it offers an interesting stress and release feeling. If you choose this option, when you get to line 3, I suggest slurring all the left hand notes. These little details are, in the end, up to you, but it helps us become better musicians when you hear what others prefer and why they prefer them. In your practice, I suggest beginning with the following drills. The first focuses on a 3-note ascending gesture, and we're specifically working on fluid and even 8th notes. It's similar to Hanon in that you're doing the same rhythmic and melodic pattern, but you'll start on a new note every time. It's very simple note-wise. What I want to see is your wrist moving in tiny but smooth circles. If you're having trouble feeling that circle naturally, try playing it wrong. Wrong would be only using your fingers to play the notes with a really stiff and stationary wrist. When you do this, you'll notice that there's extra tension in the top of your hand. The final technique drill is a simple C pentascale, but you'll be focusing on getting louder on the way up and getting softer on the way down. When you get louder, it's not just your fingers hitting the keys harder. I like to think about a gentle pressure on my forearm as I get louder. When I get louder, that pressure on my forearm increases and then it decreases as I get softer. Here is a step-by-step plan for you as you learn this piece. You don't have to practice it this way, but this will at least get you started. First, make sure the rhythm in the right hand is solid. In fact, once you figure out the counting, I would try to memorize what the tune sounds like so you can just hum it and know it. Then you don't have to think about the rhythm anymore because it's internalized. Second, work out those right hand notes. Remember, it's all in a 5-finger position, so once you've found that, you don't have to move. Third, decide on what left-hand fingerings you'll use. Fourth, put the hands together slowly, making sure to choreograph those left-hand lifts. Fifth, do some micro-section practicing to give yourself a chance to work on the dynamics and gestures. And sixth, begin to increase the tempo section by section. It's marked vivace, so it'll eventually be quite quick. Your assignment for the next 3 weeks is to obviously begin practicing this vivace along with your technique drills as warm-ups. I also suggest practicing something on your own, and maybe you're already working on a piece on your own or with another teacher. Keep working on that. If you're not, try to find something that will interest you and that excites you. And if you need a suggestion, comment below and I'm happy to help you. Another add-on that you could do is to sight read or do the C major challenge video to learn scales and arpeggios in the key of C. And of course, comment your questions, struggles, and insights about this piece so that I can address them in the next lesson along with a brand new piece. So that's it. And that was a lot. I know. My biggest hope is that we'll get into our groove with these lessons and continue to grow and improve together. I can't wait to hear from you, and I will see you next time for our theory lesson.